Greetings nerdy list aficionados and welcome back to Top 10 Nerd. You know what time it is. It's time for more facts about the boys. Today we're going to talk about the 7 as a team. I know you were all hanging for Black Noir, but I need 10 points. There's just not enough for a whole Black Noir list. But he'll be on here, don't worry. Also expect a blend of facts from the comics and the series, and as ever, spoilers for both. Hard spoilers, hard S. I'm Sasha and these are the top 10 scary The Boys, the 7 facts you need to know. We've all accepted the titling at this point. It's part of these videos' charm. Let's get started. Number 10. Jack from Jupiter. There have been changes in who are members of the 7 made from comic to TV series. And one of these changes is Jack from Jupiter, who is featured in the comic but not the series. Jack from Jupiter was not a popular member of the 7, so is deprioritized by the company because he's not selling merch as well as the rest. He's a bit on the cowardly side, a heavy drug addict, and isn't the worst member of the 7 but also isn't the best. He was meant to be a combination of Captain Marvel and the Martian Manhunter, though of course he had a fake origin. He is supposed to be an alien but was just created with Compound V like all the others. Comic fans miss him, but as far as changes go, it's not the worst swap they could have made. Number 9. They're the Justice League. So as The Boys is a superhero deconstruction, it has more poignance when one recognizes the heroes being taken apart. So the 7 are meant to be a dark version of the Justice League, one that is corporately owned. This greatly changes the dynamic. Really, that puts them more in line with the JLI, the Justice League International, rather than the standard Justice League. But the members of the 7 are based off the premier members of the Justice League. It's a cynical look at the idea of an elite superhero group, but it falls perfectly in line with Ennis's admitted disdain for the concept. Number 8. Translucent. So the series is more interested in deconstructing superheroes in general. They don't have to necessarily be DC ones, though there is a focus on mocking Snyder. So with this in mind, the hero Translucent was introduced to the team, a member with invisibility powers, despite the fact that that's not what the word translucent means, as is pointed out by Butcher in the show itself. Now one of the reasons this change was made was so they could tweak the series intro, but also so they could have that gory death by butt bomb, even though the series writers admitted that based on their own rules he shouldn't have exploded like that, stating, "Yes, you're absolutely right, the skin should have contained the blast, but then we'd have missed out on that amazing bloody explosion of blood and meat," meaning they're here for you having to suspend your disbelief. You know it wouldn't have been as good if he didn't explode. Number 7. Queen Maeve's alcoholism. This facet is kept in both series. It stems in the comics from her desire to really help people that is completely crushed by the failed 9/11 rescue attempt in the comics. Queen Maeve descends into a state of apathy and just indulging her own needs, and is even cold to Starlight after she comes to her looking for some form of kindness after her assault. She's a bit more fleshed out in the series, but much of the core remains the same. Number 6. Speaking of Queen Maeve, let's talk about her and the Homelander. Her and the Homelander's relationship is a twisted mess in both versions, though in the series there's this odd, dark, twisted chemistry thing happening, though some will not want to admit that or talk about it. So in the comics, the Homelander tricks her into having sex with Black Noir, takes photos of it, and then shares the photos around with the rest of the 7. This very much hurts her and is also part of the distancing. It's even more disturbing when we learn what we do about Black Noir later on. Which, okay, real talk, redundant name is redundant. Number 5. Can't stop the A-Train, except you totally can. The A-Train meets quite the ending in the comics. Huey is manipulated into killing him by Butcher, who plays with Huey's hatred of him for killing his girlfriend and for assaulting Starlight. The whole thing is quite horrifying, with the A-Train never fully realizing just what is happening because he's so terrified. He gets his head kicked off, just right off. I'd say ouch, but would you even feel that? Probably. Yeah. Number 4. The Lamplighter's fate. One of the things that is almost instantly dissolved in the comic series is the truce between the Boys and the 7, which was tenuous at best. The Lamplighter had been injured in the botched 9/11 mission, and as a result had been put on lots of meds. Well, these meds had some psychotic consequences, and he ended up murdering Mallory, a member of the Boys' grandchildren. After this, the Boys were on a warpath, so the 7 offered the Lamplighter to them to kill in exchange for a truce. The Lamplighter would later be reanimated by Vought Industries. Though like all reanimated heroes, he is essentially a zombie. This was so the public would buy into the mythology spread by comics that heroes never die. He is kept chained up by the 7 in the basement, and they take turns cleaning up his mess. Number 3. The plane hijacking. So the plane incident is a pivotal moment in both series, wherein it is revealed that despite all their rep as heroes, they're not really trained. They're just products, so they completely botch the rescue. Honestly, changing it from the 9/11 setting is probably for the best. All you really need is for the audience to see them being callous, careless, and ultimately leaving everyone everyone to die. The Homelander in the series is so cold about it and then sociopathic about turning it around for Vought. It's really well executed. In the comics, this failure leads to the destruction of the Brooklyn Bridge, which is the monument to the disaster of that day rather than what truly happened. In the series, Maeve having to leave that little girl, I'm still not okay. Number 2. The Homelander's upbringing. So there are a lot of factors that went into that, but one that stands out is him having to grow up in a lab. And what was done to secure him was intense. His father spent most of his life strapped to a hydrogen bomb, and his mom died giving birth to him. He's been treated as a commodity from birth and has no name. He ages slower than others, so he is also older than people assume, which means he has had more time to be groomed into the hedonistic mess he became. But that wasn't enough to stop him from rebelling. No, for that they had a contingency plan and it went horribly wrong. Which brings us to number 1. The biggest spoiler. Here it is, spoiler-geddon. The Black Noir twist. Throughout the series, it is believed that the Homelander raped the Butcher's wife, that he has been indulging in cannibalism, necrophilia, and the like, that he has a dissociative personality disorder, and has been sending pictures of his own misdeeds to himself. But it turns out that wasn't the case. No, it turns out that Black Noir was a clone of the Homelander. He was made as a contingency plan to watch over the Homelander in case he ever got out of line, but he was never to act beforehand, and he couldn't reveal himself or have his own life. This drove him insane, rendering him incapable of speech, and forcing a permanent manic grin on his face. He was the one who performed many of the depravities attributed to the Homelander, in an attempt to trigger him so that he would finally have to stop him and fulfill his purpose and be free. It's a good twist, but it undermines a lot of Butcher's arc, but then works really well with Homelander's. It would be cool to see something like it in the series. This video was filmed just right after season 1, by the way, just putting that out there. So that was the top 10 scary, the boys, the 7 facts you need to know. Are you all boysed out yet? I know I'm not. Thanks so much for watching Top 10 Nerd. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and hit that bell notification so that you never miss a vid. I'm Sasha, and we'll see you again soon here on Top 10 Nerd. Bye bye.